This is a crazy story about Brooke Shields. I had heard the original story about Pretty Baby a long time ago, but she's speaking about it publicly now in the context of how it relates to her mother and why the hell did her mother let her do this? I'm going to ask you guys a question. There's a lot of stuff that we talk about on here. You've all appeared on certain episodes, and it feels like more and more the number one thing I always end up having to say, because with Mary here, she's young, she wasn't alive at this time. I'm constantly saying, like, look, it was the 90s. Mm-hmm. Look, it was the 80s. Look, it was a different time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's really the case or if it's just, look, it's creepy Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Like we can't allow ourselves to let Hollywood dictate what is normal anymore.
It was a different time, but exploiting children and sexualizing children has always been bad.
It was a different time with the whole 15 doing the Calvin Klein ad for Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
But not a 10 nude scene. I've never even heard of that, but that's insane.
Yeah, so she spoke candidly about her career. She discussed her childhood. Her mother, Terry Shields, she died in 2012. During the conversation, she was asked about an upcoming clip from a documentary that's being made about her. She's got a daughter named Rowan and Greer, who's 16. And they were talking about the 1978 film Pretty Baby, in which she played a child prostitute. And then Rowan, that's her daughter, says it's child pornography. I guess I don't know if we're gonna get banned for saying that word on here. And that's what she called Pretty Baby, and said, "Would you have let any of us do that at the age of 11?" I love how she puts her mom on the spot there, as if her mom's gonna say yes to that. Her mom said no. She would never allow her kids to do that. What do you think goes through the head of a parent that allows their kid to do something like that? Is it just greed?
Perhaps money talks really loud, and
or it's
that's
living
important to
vicariously.
some people.
Oh, okay,
That too.
Like even but at 11?
Yeah, have you seen like pageant moms or whatever it's
called? Oh, dance moms and then also pageant moms. Yeah, like
I worked in AD for a long time, and like huge events are like children dance competitions and cheer competitions. And they're upsetting.
And the moms
upsetting.
And the moms are very clearly living vicariously through the kids.
Yes, but it's abuse. Like what these children have to do performance-wise is it's unsettling.
She also said that she appeared nude on Playboy at the age of 10.
What?
Yes, I did. Believe it or not, I did not go look this up.
No. Don't go look
So it
that
says
up.
she went on to address her early career, including posing nude for Playboy at the age of 10, how she couldn't tell her daughters why her mother let her do these projects. This is her quote. She says, "I mean, I could say, oh, it was the time back then. Oh, it was art," Shields said, "but I don't know why she thought it was all right." Look, that's one that falls on it a lot of times. It's art. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay because it's art, which is a Trojan horse to allow very, very dangerous people to be around your kids if you're going to just dismiss it as, well, it's art. Mm-hmm. Like, how does a parent who wants their kids, because this is still, like we said, we talked earlier in the last segment, it's now more common than ever for people to want to be famous, especially at a young age. Kids don't want to be firemen. Boys don't want to be firemen anymore. Mm-hmm. Women don't want to be nurses or doctors. They want to be celebrity influencers. Mm-hmm. You could maybe say that social media at least allows you to control the access to you. But another thing that happens is, like, family YouTube channels, family vlog channels end up in their own way also taking advantage of their kids at a young age.
Yeah, those are creepy.
There's a way you can do certain aspects of it that feel less exploitative. Mm-hmm. There's actually a YouTuber that I really, really like right now named Alex Nino. He's a long haul trucker, and he documents like his runs in his truck and like living.
I think I've watched that guy.
Yeah, like runs out of his truck, and every once in a while, his kids will be in a video because they go on trips with him, but they're not the focus of the channel.
Yeah,
like
they're not being forced to do these fake scenes, and
so what do you do
every day?
What do you do if you're a parent and you stumble across, and I'm sure that's how this happened, right? They stumbled across a gold mine of content, which is that parents were able to put their kids on video, and the relatability of those channels, because so many people understand, like, look, I have a family, and they want to see that type of content because they're relatable. That's almost a different type of abuse. But the Hollywood abuse has been going on for so long. I think now what we're realizing is that no matter what we do, we find like society finds ways to harm kids, and that's terrifying.
And kids can't consent to being part of a YouTube channel that's the focus.
Oh, I
is
think the
them
stream
or-
is jumping.
They're saying the
We
stream-
can't say stuff like some of the things that we've said, I think.
I don't know. I read a quote, which I read earlier. So, okay. We'll tread lightly. Look, you have to be extremely careful with this type of stuff when you're talking about this stuff. But I think it's fair, and we should be the ones holding Hollywood accountable. This stuff was very commonplace back then. You talked about the scene in Blue Lagoon.
That was, I don't remember clearly because I haven't seen it since I was younger. But I know the other movie where she plays the, I don't want to say the words. Is it?
Be very careful.
What is the movie called?
From this one? Pretty Baby.
Pretty Baby.
Yeah.
I think that was the worst of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, if it has a very particular scene, but like that's not a new concept that popped up in the 90s because Jodie Foster famously played a same thing in Taxi Driver. Like, granted, not as explicit as this sounds, but still strange. And I don't like the thing that I was mulling over while you're talking was it was the 90s. I don't think the attitude was different. Maybe a little bit, but not. This seems beyond the line.
Yeah.
Like I was watching How to American Summer last week, and there's a joke in it where Molly Shannon ends up in a relationship with a 10-year-old, and it's just like it's absurd, right? It's supposed to be absurd.
It's played as absurdity.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we fell in love, and
Well, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
No, go. No,
But-
I
seriously.
just had a thought.
Go for it.
but even that, I was like, that's
Yeah. Did you really need to go there?
right. Like it was funny, but my thought now is like, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, like, but that's what that movie is. And like, there's also a scene in that movie where two adults make out in front of children. I was like, okay, that might get you with it was the 90s and we didn't think about it and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see like maybe stuff just flew under the radar more than.
Well, yeah, there wasn't the instant backlash that the
Right.
internet brings about now.
Yeah, it's easy to forget and memory hole stuff when it's not retweet.
Yeah.
But
Well, another
Correct.
way that some films cover this type of difficult topic is they cast someone who is not a minor
Right.
but can appear to look younger.
Look younger.
I'm having trouble thinking of an example right now, but
well,
I know
there's
that
one
that happens.
we've talked about where it was recent. It was 2019 where it was about a child android.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And they had like a 19-year-old play. They're playing like a 9-year-old android that is a.
Did we talk about this?
We have talked about it.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't remember that.
It came up as it was mentioned in an article about something else, and I brought it. But yeah, there's a movie. It came out in 2019, I believe, and it was like a 19-year-old actress playing a 10-year-old android that was used for this purpose.
What?
And that's what. Yes, that was what the movie is about. And it's like
It is kind of true that Hollywood has kind of always been very open about who they are, and
Yeah.
people just have the ability to ignore it. And that's not a good thing either, I don't think. The example that I was giving, I posted something on Twitter yesterday. If anybody has ever seen the movie Blank Check, the once masterpiece Blank Check, there is a scene at the very end of this movie. If you don't know what Blank Check was, it was a Disney movie from 1994. This kid, I've referenced it here on the show before. Carter, you've seen this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this kid gets hit by a limousine, right? And this guy writes him a check, but doesn't put an amount there. And the kid he basically commits check fraud and gives himself $1 million and buys a mansion that clearly cost more than $1 million.
This is how 90s this is. Yeah,
like
$1 million
my favorite-
basically buys him everything in the world.
And my favorite part is I'm like, who signed the contingencies for this thing? Like, was there a lawyer involved?
Right.
Like, did he put the money in escrow himself? How did
Fantasy,
this
it's
work?
okay.
Fantasy. It doesn't matter. Well, at the end of the movie, the character of Preston gets a kiss. The 12-year-old character of Preston gets a kiss from Special Agent Shay,
Dude, I forgot about
who's
that part.
31 years old, and
Oh,
she kisses
no.
him on the lips. Okay, and here's the thing. The way the scene is blocked, I have it here. Like the way the scene is blocked, I don't know if we can play it because of copyright. She could have kissed him on the cheek. She could have kissed him on the forehead. She could have given him an awkward hug. There's literally 10,000 options they could have done rather than just have 31-year-old actress kiss 12-year-old boy. but it's Hollywood.
That is
so
weird.
Signed
now.
off on that.
like it was the 90s. Like that's literally what this is. It was like the coke snorting studio executives just like
You know, it's
it'll
funny.
be fine. Just do it.
Man, no one thought twice about that back then.
Dude. And then like I got like a bunch of responses from people who are like, okay, I love that movie, but now like I don't remember that being that creepy. People basically being
When
like,
you're a kid, it's not creepy.
no, when you're a kid, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Now
There's
you're just
also
like,
a bit of
wow.
role reversal here.
Yes.
Where it's different for some reason.
Oh yeah, if you switched, like I hate to
Yeah.
make that argument again, but if you switch the genders, it's really even creepier somehow,
Right.
right? But also, have you ever noticed like when you read articles, like anytime like a male teacher does something, it's like it's abuse, but every time a female teacher does something, it's like got entered a relationship with a student. I'm like, that's not what that is. That's you're lying.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That is how it's covered.
On a more positive note, I want to give a quick shout out to my dad who's been trolling me in the chat.
What's he saying?
No, Dad, you could not beat me in a game of skate. You literally push Mongo. And yes, I'm very excited to go to the sand dunes with you. I will see you soon. Love you. Thank you for joining.
Oh, that was adorable. That was adorable. Look, for stuff like this, I think also there's a feedback loop where like because of the internet, you have instant access to opinions. So the creepy, like I said, coke snorting studio executives who maybe weren't in their best mindset at the time, didn't have access to all the people to tell them like, hey, what you're doing is creepy and wrong. Maybe you shouldn't do that. But I think it's also more easy to just say, look, they're probably just evil.
Yeah.
Like it's Hollywood and they're just pushing to maybe that push to normalize all the things that we talk about that shouldn't be normalized isn't as sudden as you think it was. And it's actually been going on for decades and decades.
Milk Money.
Yeah.
You know the movie?
Oh, no, I've never seen
Okay.
it.
we'll
What's
talk
that
about it later.
one?
It's about a bunch of teenagers hiring a prostitute.
Oh, God.
Really?
Yeah.
See? Like the Hollywood just goes this way.
Dude, you know what's funny is because like I was telling Brett earlier, like Blank Check is one of the only movies that I have on like VHS tape that I taped, but like the intro to Milk Money was at the end of it.
Really?
That's why I remember that movie.
Oh.
See? It was like
So weird.
that's even worse. That's even worse. They're like right next to each other.
Right.
That's, maybe that was like the first time a producer was
Predictive
like,
programming.
yeah,
That's
that's creepy, man. Look, I do recommend going and watching Blank Check. Maybe skip that scene at the end there. That movie was amazing, an amazing
Oh,
part
yeah.
of your childhood. Also, if you've never seen The Indian in the Cupboard,
Oh, that's a great one.
the Indian in the Cupboard is great. Or Richie Rich is fantastic.
Oh,
toy.
Richie Rich's
First
Christmas
Kid
Wishes?
is also
First
pretty
Richie
with
good.
Sinbad,
First Kid.
yeah. Like those would all be really good movies to go watch. I don't even know where you can find like
know.
Indian like Indian in the Cupboard wasn't on any of the. I think you could probably
Dude,
rent
it was
it
on Netflix
Amazon.
a little bit ago.
Was it?
May have been a year or so.
Also,
but-
that movie would never get made today. No, not in a
Oh,
million years.
yeah,
Or
that's
Man
right.
of the House with Jonathan
Dude,
Taylor
oh
Thomas.
man, I had that one on tape too.
Jungle to Jungle.
Yes, yes.
Mimi Siku.
All
the
of
name
those
of the
movies,
Indian guy.
all of those movies are really good. I actually watched an episode of Smallville the other day that had Jonathan Taylor, like within like a season, it had Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Zachary Ty Bryant, or like whoever the older brother is in that
Zachary
one. They both appeared within like a couple episodes of each other, but because Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the real star, he got special guest credit, and the other guy just got regular credit. It's too bad, right? All right, guys, Hollywood's full of creeps. Don't let Hollywood raise your kids. Like more than anything, what do you guys think people should be doing about finding? Because whether people want to admit it or not, people have to find entertainment for their kids. Like entertainment is still
Ooh.
part of life. Art is still part of life. What should we be doing if we're trying to get our kids to watch more wholesome entertainment? Like, does that exist now, or like is
That's
it just
tough.
something that thing like right now we're just in an in between period now where the parallel economy will have to be built slowly but surely. I don't think that would even happen in our lifetime in a way where there will be substantial enough material for anyone here who has kids to like raise their kids on that content. There just wouldn't be enough of it.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards find something active for them to do, and I don't mean that like go play 60. I mean something that engages them on a real level,
Like
don't-
art or music.
No, I'm not saying don't. I'm not saying don't put them outside and play sports.
Still
obviously,
enjoy movies,
yeah.
but
Right, but
maybe,
no,
maybe
like,
watch them first
that's the
before you show them
opening.
to your kids.
That's the opening of the statement, is because once you give them that, you narrow down your choices. So if you do have a kid who's interested in skateboarding and they're young, it is it's much easier to put them on that path because they have an invested interest in that thing to distract them from the more noisy thing that is trying to draw it. That they're trying to draw on people that have no direction.
That's like, I feel like in a lot of ways, me and you probably got lucky with that to find something that we were that passionate about that young and hold on to.
Especially
I actually,
as a teenager.
Yeah,
That's a very vulnerable time.
I talk to a lot of people about that, like on my Instagram, usually in my story, like when I'm having a bad day and I go skate and I realize how lucky I am, how fortunate I am that I have something that's a physical activity. You know, it's obviously proven that it's good to get out to be active for your brain and your physical and your mental health, right? Like to have something that you got lucky enough to find at that young of an age that still sticks with you, where you like it as much now, the day you started, as you did, you like it as much now as you did the day you started. Not many people find something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
and another one, like even if I got like a rolled ankle or something, I always turn to like pulling out my guitar.
Yeah. So even
Super
though like
entertaining, never
I don't
gets
have
old.
that. I don't have that. Like I don't
It's
have
never too
the
late.
second. I don't have like the second thing that I like to do other than skating. In fact, if anything, I always felt like I was too one-dimensional in a lot of ways because I dedicated all of my time and all of my energy to doing that one thing. And even to this day, I guess you could say movies, you could say television or stuff like that. I guess, but I wouldn't have thought of them in the same context because one's an engaged activity and the other one's more passive.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, but I'd say finding kids and getting them into sports is also probably more than anything is getting your kids into activities, not just entertainment.
Right.
Yeah. And also just teaching your kids good discretion and good values, because in this world, they're going to eventually see or come across some media that isn't ideal for kids to see. That happens.
Yeah, and to stay engaged with their lives and to check in on them on a regular basis, because they're going to have access to phones. They're going to have access to the internet. You're going to have to pay very close attention to that because so much content is pushed out each and every day. Like I'm terrified of that.
To me, a great option, especially like I don't have kids now, but I have thought about these things a lot about because I want to, and it's like old entertainment. Like very old entertainment. Like my favorite TV show of all time, Dick Van Dyke Show. There's nothing in there that I like not only would be offended by, but wouldn't endorse the way they handled it, even though they were Hollywood scumbags for the most part.
Yeah. But the money wasn't in being a scumbag at that time.
Right,
The money was in promoting
I'm
wholesome
not,
values that they just happen to be.
Well, even like I'm not
lying
anti
about.
like subversive topics because you have to like if you're trying to give a child a tensile mind that can wrap its head around complex subject matter, you have to be able to tread in those waters at some point. Like there are, like, I don't think that there should be topics. Well, there should be some, but like, don't make too insulated content. Don't feed them yoga gabba and these things that rot the mind and don't challenge it, because they are gonna entertainment is a good vessel for. Okay, if I ever encounter this type of situation in my life, you know, like there's an episode of Degrassi about like a girl's in a relationship with a boy she met online, but it doesn't turn out to be a boy, and it's handled extremely well. Yeah, that is important.
A lot of the teen dramas used to actually be very good.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lesson in every episode.
I love Smallville.
But they were still good. They didn't feel like they were made for you to like talk down to you or like after school specials, or they were, but they didn't feel like it.
Also, speaking of the Dick Van Dyke Show, I think there's a lot of episodes available for free on YouTube.
Yes.
Is that true?
All of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
Filmrized television. I watch it every night.
I love I love Smallville. I've been really enjoying Smallville. I loved One Tree Hill.
But those are in the era where it's like sexualizing teenagers. That time period.
Yeah.
Where it was like. And
but most of them were adults. By then,
I know, but
they're portraying teenagers,
right? Which is weird.
Yeah,
like how Euphoria is weird.
No, I talked about the episode where Clark gets is like attracted to his teacher and has like premature eye.
I saw that.
Eye ejaculation. Yeah. I'm not okay. So,
ejaculation.
Okay, so Superman can shoot the beams out of his eyes, right?
Oh.
But he's a teenager, so he can't control
there are,
himself.
Like, some words I think should never be said out loud, and whatever that was is on the list. I'm just
ejaculation. Yeah, like put it on the list, right? I do recommend everyone going, but even in that show, okay, there are scenes where it's taken for granted where he's considering he gets talked to about sex, But it's not just assumed that he's already active. Nowadays, I feel like they just assume the kids are active because the culture has degenerated so far.
I would say safe assumption
Yeah.
today, but that's the problem, right?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.